Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have something interesting. And this was talked about in the forums a little bit here and there, and I have seen little talks about it all over the place. But today, an official open letter has been made to TaleWorlds from the Kingdoms of Arda team, which is a huge, like pretty much total conversion mod, um, that converts like pretty much the whole game into a different world. And there's an open letter to TaleWorlds, and this Kingdoms of Arda team is actually representing 12 and more total overhaul projects. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. As you can see, 6 hours, 1.2k upvotes. Pretty big news. And what it's talking about is the concerns and frustrations with Bannerlord's development. Okay, so I am going to read this. I'm going to check out the full letter, see what it's all about. It looks like pretty big news, and overall, looks pretty serious. So let's treat it that way. I'm gonna link it down below, and let's do it. Alrighty, hi R Mountain Blade. Here's a link to the full letter. Okay, so before we go to the full letter, let's see what oh my god, why did I click report? Let's see what he has to say here. Alrighty, so he starts off, I'm a programmer on the Kingdoms of Arda team, and I'm representing 12 plus total overhaul projects listed at the end of the letter. Over the last few months, the KOA team has been collaborating with dozens of other total conversion mods, sharing what we know about Bannerlord mod development with each other. We've determined there are some serious issues with Bannerlord's code, as well as TaleWorlds development practices in general. Over the last few months and even years, we have shared our needs and feedback with TaleWorlds regarding what functionality we would need to make our mods, and for the most part, the feedback has been completely ignored. Not good. Over about a year and 30 updates made to the game, we've seen little to no work done on support for custom campaign maps, custom skins, so we don't have to implement the non-human skin as armor pieces like in Warband, custom skeletons for monsters like trolls, and countless other features critical to many mods' developments. Nearly none of their code is documented in any form, and the mod tools are incredibly unstable. Instead of addressing these concerns, we've seen TaleWorlds putting lots of effort into somewhat underwhelming features, and even neglecting massive issues in the native game, CGI, crafting exploits, etc. We think it is within the interest of both players and modders that TaleWorlds shifts their focus to polishing and finishing Bannerlord rather than building new features on an unpolished foundation. In addition to neglecting our feedback, TaleWorlds has made huge decisions behind closed doors that makes it nearly impossible to work on total overhaul mods, detailed in the letter. We're going to go over that in a second. This is the main reason why many overhaul mods have seen little to no progress to show outside of importing 2D and 3D assets. We are completely hamstrung when it comes to modifying and extending Bannerlord's code at a high level. We encourage any criticism, support, or whatever commentary you may have to be shared in this thread or the complimentary thread on the official forums. We hope this letter and the discussion around it will prevent yet another respected game developer/publisher from ignoring and failing their stakeholders. With love and butter, the Total Overhaul modding community. Okay, so before we go into all this, I'm going to visit this as well. Let me just link these two things right over here. Boom. Okay. So I've heard stuff of this nature from different threads, and you guys have been there as well when I've been reading those threads where modders have come out and stated that the modding tools, they don't work so well. And when you try to actually do some more complex stuff with it, there tends to be a lot more crashes. There tends to be a lot more stuff that's just blocking the way for more innovation. And, it's very hard to make a substantial mod. It's very hard to code something substantial on top of the Bannerlord code, and that is a problem. And what's it called? For Warband especially, a lot of big overhaul mods were very, very successful, and and a lot of people are waiting for those mods for this game as well. And it looks like the developers on that side of the modding tools, or whoever's in charge of the modding tools, they're ignoring kind of the big community behind these mods. And obviously there's a lot of support for these mod makers. You know what I mean? Like they've made some incredible stuff in the past, so it's very unfortunate seeing this, and hopefully this is not in any malicious attempt to get these mods, taken down or something of that nature. As far as I've heard, this is what I've heard, or I've heard and I've read, right? It looks like to me that the devs would not have any problem with mods. They've encouraged mods in the past, and they have said that, we do enjoy seeing mods for our games, and some of the developers have even come out and said, hey, I used to work on mods for Warband and stuff like that, and now I'm a developer for Bannerlord. So stuff like that has happened. So in my opinion, I don't think that this was done in a malicious attempt. But again, I don't know. I'm not on the inside. That is just my overall opinion. But if this, obviously this is an issue because, there's an open letter. And as you can see, there's 12 plus, they've come out officially. So therefore, this is an issue. And I can see that it is an issue. And hopefully, this letter and this post on the forums, it does lead to some changes. I do obviously want to see a lot of these overhaul mods. I do want to play a lot of these overhaul mods. You know what I mean? Don't get it wrong. Of course, I want to see all this succeed. I really do. And hopefully this doesn't end in some kind of, little feud or little argument. Hopefully it stays respectful. Hopefully it stays on point and it gets stuff done, And for people who are, let's say, who want to join this conversation, stuff of that nature, please, if you are, I'm gonna tell you like this: act respectful, be mature. When you want progress to be done, when you have two, in this situation, you have obviously the mod creators who want change, and you have the developers who, from reading this letter, it looks like they've kind of ignored them for the most part. Don't start attacking one side. Don't start picking one side. If you guys want this mod to actually come together, be respectful, be mature. Go in it with that mindset. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do want to see these mods succeed, and I do want to see changes that will help these mods succeed. I think that is very important for the community. I think that's very important for Bannerlord in general, and I think that's what a lot of players are waiting for. So yeah, I think it's very important. Alrighty, so now let's go to the open letter. There it is. Okay, let's see. Ooh, this is quite the amount. Jesus Christ. I want to see who all these people are. Kingdom of Ardu, the Old World. Oh, see, what's it called? I got invited to this, to their Discord right over here. These guys. So I'm excited for them as well. But yeah, all these guys, very big mod creators. But okay. Whew. Let's get to reading, boys. It's going to be a long one. An open letter, TaleWorlds, why total overhaul mod development is hamstrung and how TaleWorlds can prevent this going forward. Preface. This open letter is a product of massive amounts of frustration and concerns in the Bannerlord modding community. It has been almost a year since Bannerlord Early Access was released, and based off the 30 patches that have been released for the game, we think TaleWorlds' priorities are highly misaligned with the needs of the modding community. Okay. This is not intended to be an exhaustive list of issues, but rather a meta-analysis of assumptions and decisions TaleWorlds has made without considering the needs of their game's stakeholders. We hope this letter will serve as a catalyst for improved transparency, communication, and collaboration between TaleWorlds leadership and the Bannerlord mod developers, so no one is left dealing with the consequences of short-sighted decision making. Okay, so obviously, they want to see change, and I think it makes sense, and I think that's what they're pretty much saying is listen, if you want this game to be successful for a longer time, if you want, people to really be happy with this game, mods are a big part of this community. So you need to, in a way, work with us to make sure the whole community, succeeds in the long term, which I understand. You may be wondering why the majority of mods released for Bannerlord are small-scale tweaks, faction/cultural overhauls, and generally don't change the core gameplay of Bannerlord. The reason behind that is TaleWorlds has put up artificial roadblocks throughout the game's code that severely impede and often make it completely impossible to make any large-scale changes. The code to fix and modify some of the largest issues in the game, CGI, crafting, exploits, etc., is all public, but those roadblocks prohibit modders from touching that code. As far as we are aware, the decision to put up those roadblocks was made behind closed doors, with little to no consideration of their impact on the ability of Total Overhaul mods to carve out the world and gameplay we have envisioned. Okay, so what he's saying is, there might have been express decisions made that pretty much made it so you can't change much stuff from the original game, and that's not good. Definitely not good. In addition to these roadblocks, TaleWorlds has made it clear over the last year that they have been prioritizing expanding the base game and adding new features rather than creating a polished and modular foundation for modders and TaleWorlds themselves to build off of that. Have they? Well, I guess by not... Okay, I see where he's coming from. I guess by these roadblocks being put up and the fact that a lot of these patches have not really included much in terms of the modding community, I can understand that it is being seen as they are, made it clear that they are, they don't really care about the modding community. I can see it from that perspective. You know what I mean? So, okay. We are asking for TaleWorlds to remove these roadblocks, stopping us from making our mods, and to include us in the process in making these decisions to prevent similar problems in the future. Okay, I think they should have a bigger conversation about this. I think the developers should have a bigger conversation about this. Only thing I worry about is at the end of the day, I know everyone doesn't like to hear it, but the decision makers, they ultimately decide, hey, do we support the modding community? Do we give them limited resources? Do we put up roadblocks? They make all those decisions. And hopefully they see that it was very successful in Warband and that the fact that it could be very successful here as well. Because a lot of people are waiting for these mods to come out, and it would be very unfortunate if they did not come out, and in my opinion it would result in a very diminished community in the Bannerlord. It would just, it's not the right way to go, and hopefully the right people see it and do make the changes. Alright, what TaleWorlds should have learned from Warband? Using Warband as a case study, we think it should have been obvious which features and functionalities were desperately needed by mod developers. For example, every single one of the most popular mods, Prophecy of Pendor, The Last Days of the Third Age, A World of Ice and Fire, Purisno had custom campaign maps, playable non-human races, and would have benefited greatly from the ability to rig agents to custom skeletons. In Warband, these features had to be implemented using rigged methods such as adding custom body parts as armor pieces, hence why certain gear is locked to a specific race in the before mentioned mods. We think that accommodating these wildly needed features in Bannerlord's engine and making them accessible to modders should have been a day one priority for TaleWorlds. As of the writing of this letter, none of these much needed features are functional, and we have no idea where they lay in TaleWorlds' priorities. Every patch that comes out, these critical features are not addressed and are ignored in favor of developing new features. Feels like a slap in the face. After nearly a year and 30 branches of the game released, we think it is now abundantly clear that TaleWorlds, most specifically the people deciding which features are prioritized at TaleWorlds, there it is. So he understands as well where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? So like I said it before, be mature. Don't be very quick to, grab your pitchforks and your torches and be like, I can't believe you've done this, and just wildly just go through the whole TaleWorlds team. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's decision makers out there. This might not be completely the developer's fault at the same time. So calm it down. You don't know the full story. This is their side. There's multiple sides to every story. So be calm about it. All right. More specifically, the people deciding which features are prioritized at TaleWorlds is very out of touch with the needs of the community. To summarize, we've given TaleWorlds an entire year to iterate over a solid foundation for both the modders and TaleWorlds to build off of, but they have opted instead to continue building new and somewhat underwhelming features off of a flawed foundation instead. Okay. The main problems. Whew, this is a lot, man. Whew. Let me get a drink, man. I'm here for it though, but there's a lot of reading. Alrighty, the following sections would detail some of the high-level programming centric issues that are actively preventing us from developing our total overhaul mods. Resolving these problems would be a very much appreciated sign that TaleWorlds is prioritizing the needs of their stakeholders. Failing to address these concerns will likely result in many amazing total overhaul mods being stuck in stagnation for the foreseeable future, which is not good. Alright, pretty much no documentation. There are two critical things every open source project must satisfy to allow for external developers to contribute or extend the exposed code. Okay, so as we're reading this, I want you to know that I used to take some computer science classes, but at the same time, I am an idiot when it comes to this stuff. So do not, listen, if I don't understand something, just know that, or if you don't understand something, just know I'm not the guy to ask. You know what I mean? I'm here to learn as people are here to learn, that are watching this video. So I'm going to try my best to read it, but there might be stuff I don't understand, and unfortunately I can't really give my background of it, if that kind of makes sense, right? Alrighty, the first thing of which is, let's reread this. Pretty much no documentation. There are two critical things every open source project must satisfy to allow for external developers to contribute or extend the exposed code. The first is which is writing code in a way that is easy to read. TaleWorlds actually did a good job with this, and it is generally pretty easy to tell what exactly each class and method does just by reading its name. Good. The second of which is at least high-level documentation explaining how each system works and how the maintainers intend for you to implement generic features. The official documentation is almost non-existent and is extremely narrow in scope, which it is understandable that the code is extremely volatile and being updated constantly, that there's no excuse for putting next to no effort into documenting your code. Okay, so what he's saying pretty much is, when looking on like the micro side, right, on specific things, you can kind of tell what stuff is just by reading the name. But when it comes to like a whole system that probably spans a lot of different parts of the code, there's no real documentation of how all that stuff is connected, how it works, and how you can build off that. If I'm correct, let me know, but I think that's what he's talking about. So on the micro side, they did a pretty good job, but on the macro side, it's not that great. And the fact that they're not documenting code as updates are happening rapidly is not a good thing. Okay. The lack of modding documentation significantly increases the amount of time needed to implement simple features and has led to many bad practices for newer / less knowledgeable mod developers, especially the use of Harmony to patch code at runtime. Okay? Even seasoned software engineers within the community have to spend countless hours debugging and trying to understand how every system works at a high level because there's no documentation. That's a big problem. For less experienced coders unfamiliar with advanced C, I forgot how you even say this. C topics. This is a coding language, obviously. Topics like interface, delegates, and reflections. This is a nearly impossible task. Not to mention the event-driven and / nonlinear flow of the program makes it extremely difficult to understand where methods are actually executed. Even if there is an overridable callback / method that could help modders execute their code, this makes it unlikely for them to be aware of its existence, so they intently opt out to use Harmony. Okay, so as I said before, so it looks like the micro side, they can tell what's going on, but for a more complex system, they don't know exactly where all the code is for it, and it's not very well documented how it's all connected. Therefore, developers have to kind of waste a lot more time trying to find these parts, and if they can't find these parts, there's a lot more bugs and stuff that comes out of it because it's not well documented where all these parts are. That's not good. It shouldn't require the effort of a full-time job to understand Bangalor's code at a high level. This issue affects pretty much every Bangalore mod developer, and just a little effort to document Bangalor's code would be a huge quality of life upgrade for every developer regardless of their existence. I agree. This sounds very, very, frustrating if you were trying to create a big mod that obviously plays off the huge features and obviously changes a lot of core big systems in the game. If you don't know where all of them are at, and it takes so much time to do, and it's very, it feels very diminishing. I can definitely tell. Okay. Here we go. Next point. Hold on, dude. I gotta. Oh no. That's my last Capri Sun, man. Oh, I'll drink some water instead. You hate to see it, man. Alright. Next one. Lots of inaccessible hard-coded behaviors. Okay? Another reason why the use of Harmony is so widespread. What is Harmony? Is that a program for coding? What is Harmony? Because it looks like they're using Harmony to make it easier to do coding, right? Or to mod the game. Or to develop the mods for the game. You guys let me know. It's so widespread that TaleWorlds has populated many generic classes with hard-coded behavior that can't be overridden. A simple example of this is the constant fields in the campaign class. Okay, so public constant float. Okay, so it's stuck at 900. That's stuck at 900. Okay. This code snippet above implies that a campaign map can only have a radius of 900. Since the constant word was used, there is no way to change these without completely remaking the class, which is next to impossible as explained in the next issue. What the hell is this? Okay. The screenshot of code above is the add behaviors method within the campaign class. This method is also not overridable, and modders have no choice regarding which of these they actually want their campaign instantiated. What is that word? Instantiated. Okay, sorry, I can't read. Want their campaign instantiated with. Again, the obvious choice for modders is to patch this method with Harmony, as neither re-implementing the campaign class nor overriding the method are possible. Okay, so these are the blocks that they're talking about. Stuff that is just blocked between something that can't really be changed. Okay, that's not good. These hard-coded behaviors are present in nearly every system of the game, from character creation to siege tactics. As a result, if a modder wants to change or remove these hard-coded behaviors and fields, they must choose to patch them with Harmony or rip out and replace the entire system. Okay. Yeah, bad. The rampant use of internal keyword. The internal keyword, what is this? Jesus Christ. The internal keyword is an access modifier for types and type members. Okay. Alright, so I'm not going to learn much from there because I'm an idiot, but okay. The internal keyword is used so that a particular method, field, or class of code can't be instantiated outside of the assembly it was defined in. In the context of Bannerlord, there are many classes and fields that are seemingly randomly defined as internal. From what we know, the reason TaleWorlds slaps the internal keyword on seemingly arbitrary classes is to enforce mod capability. In case this wasn't apparent already, since modders are forced to patch code with Harmony or completely redefine generic classes with their own submodules, compatibility between mods is entirely dependent on whether those mods patch the same areas of code. Aha, okay. So obviously, so what he's saying is like they tried to make it the whole mod compatibility thing like a thing by doing this internal keyword thing, but at the same time, with these big blocks getting put in the way and the fact that modders have to use Harmony to bypass this, right, in a way, for mods to be compatible, they pretty much need to use the Harmony program the same way to make sure that's the same code that they can work off of. Listen, if I'm getting this completely wrong, if I'm even close, just let me know. But I'm working, my brain is working at 300% capacity. I hope you understand this. I am talking about stuff I have no clue with, but I'm trying to piece it together by the information that is given. I do not want to hear a single thing about it. You know what I mean? I want to hear no guy come in here and like, oh, bro, how can you not know this? Bro, on God, leave me be. All right? Appreciate it. Okay. What else we got? Mod compatibility. I can't read, dude. I'm sorry. Mod compatibility aside, slapping the internal keyword on generic and widely used classes makes it impossible to modify or extend many of the tightly coupled systems utilizing said classes. Jesus Christ, dude. This is like me back in damn class, man. But okay, I like how much you are describing it. I'm really slow when it comes to this stuff. For example, the entire siege system in Bannerlord is based on the siege lane class. Every siegeable scene has 3 siege lane classes. So these are possible routes of attack. Okay, so I'm guessing the gate and where you would put either the siege towers at or the ladders at. Those are the 3 lanes. Okay. Just about every field and method within siege lane and siege lane itself are internal. Not only did this completely shatter the prospect of adding compatibility for more than 3 siege lanes in a siege, or having multiple layers of walls and gates, it means we would have to entirely re-implement all the classes that implemented or dependent on siege lanes. Okay, so they're talking about pretty much saying that the whole concept of these 3 siege lanes was not a good feature at all, and it pretty much limits what they can really do and how much they can build off it, unless they want to rebuild from scratch, which in terms of, I'm guessing, modding and development doesn't really make sense. Might as well make your own game. Well, no, that's probably not a good comparison, but what they're pretty much saying is, a game like Bannerlord, in a way, they should have thought like, hey, this game is going to be heavily modded in the future. Maybe we shouldn't, include all these things that would impede that. Yeah, this does not sound good. What is also frustrating is the keyword is applied seemingly randomly. In the second screenshot of the previous section, the behaviors with a red squiggly line under them are internal. Most of these internal objects have no obvious difference in functionality between several other similar behaviors which aren't internal. And if there was a good reason for them to be internal, we would have no way of knowing without proper documentation. Okay, so the roadblocks on top of documentation not really being there is really bad. I can see why this is really bad. In the context of total conversion mods, we have particular vision on how every system in the game should work, and the overwhelming number of internal and inaccessible classes make it impossible to modify or re-implement these systems. This is the biggest reason why, to this day, not a single total conversion mod has written any significant amounts of code outside of small tweaks and automatic changes. In many cases, writing the code that makes Bannerlord experience unique within our mods is not limited by the capabilities of the engine, but the rampant use of internal keywords. To say that this causes us frustration or smothers our passion and motivation is a vast understatement. Yeah, I can see it. And I really look. I'm gonna read the rest. Don't worry. But this sounds like a lot of big teams right here. You know what I mean? The fact that in what is it? Let me refresh. In 6 hours they've gotten 1.4k retweets. What's it called? And how much time is this? This is about 3 hours. We already have 4 pages of people talking. This is very important, and I think this should not be taken lightly. And I really do think that this should, this needs to be addressed. And I think that the developers need to try their best, because I'm gonna be keeping it 100 with you. I don't think this is all the developers' fault. Like I said before, a lot of times the decision makers, the people at the top, they're very disconnected from the stuff that they usually own, the stuff that they usually operate, and they make, in a way, safe choices and stuff of that nature, and they just don't see the overall picture. And I really hope they do, and because this is a big issue. I think overhaul mods are the future of Bannerlord. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. I think while TaleWorlds can try to build the best single player experience that they can, whatever that will be, I think that without mods, Bannerlord's not going to survive for the many years to come. You know what I mean? I think mods are a huge part of the Mount and Blade experience, and they add so much. They add so much to the game, and I think to not focus on this, is a mistake. It is definitely a mistake. Alrighty, moving on. How TaleWorlds can resolve these problems. Let me take another sip of my drink. Alright. So he continues, the solutions to some of these problems are actually very simple. Good. TaleWorlds could hire an intern with the sole task of documenting how you intend for us to extend and utilize everything from gauntlet to face key generation. Okay, better documentation. Get somebody on that. It is not all practical to offload the burden of documenting a code base this large and complex onto modders. Okay? If TaleWorlds ever wants Bannerlord modding scene to flourish into more than just small tweaks and patches, this is a must. Yes, documentation is a must. It really does help the whole, modding development move on a lot quicker and faster, in my opinion, right? And it probably a lot easier as well if you know where all the code is, you know how all that stuff gets connected. I can see that for sure. To fix the hard coding issues, TaleWorlds needs to start thinking about their code from the perspective of a modder. What if a modder doesn't want to simulate 500 tournaments at the start of the campaign? What if a mod has more than 6 major cultures and we've only built culture selection screens to support 6? Putting the ball in the modder's court takes so much work off your hands, and we would be so grateful and able to sculpt our worlds out as we please. That is true. Look, I think that's very true as well. I think if you give modders more, more stuff to make sure their work happens, I think it looks good on the company. I think it takes off, a lot of pressure off the developers, the company itself, because you have a lot more people working for, in a way, your game, and it provides a lot more content. People are going to be a lot more grateful. Players are going to be more excited that, oh, this mod's coming out here. Then after this mod comes out, we're going to have another patch for Bannerlord there. You know what I mean? And it just, the community flourishes. It becomes, bigger, and it becomes, in terms, a better community. And, I think this is huge. I think, for example, one game that really kind of upset me when it came out, and just how much stuff went wrong and how much stuff just didn't go good in terms of even kind of like modding also, because I feel like, I don't know, whenever I wanted to like do game mods and stuff when I was in my computer science classes, I always like wanted to figure out, how do I get into this, how do I do this, before I even did the classes. And the game that people did talk about a lot is Warcraft 3. There's the custom campaigns you can make there. There was the custom games you could obviously make there, custom maps and all that. And people said, hey, if you can make games on there, you know what I mean? If you can make some good stuff on there, then you kind of have some concepts down already. And a thing that I really hated was when Reforged came out, they ruined so much of that. So much of that was ruined. A lot of great mod creator. You can't even play custom campaigns no more in Warcraft 3 Reforged. That is dead completely in the water. They completely destroyed that. And it was so upsetting because the only reason Warcraft 3 was really surviving, yes, there was like a very minuscule pro scene in a way. And like, yeah, some people liked obviously playing the 4v4s, 3v3s. I still play them. But huge things was the custom maps, the custom campaigns. That was huge. Ooh, excuse me. But like, what I'm trying to say is that was huge, and they destroyed that, and it was so, you hated to see it. And I just hope that these problems can get resolved here before it ends up in that same way where, it's like you're just limiting your potential for how great a game can be by, not including the modders and the people who, who literally, in a way, want to work on your game. Yeah, they sometimes get, I don't know how big mod development teams really do get. I'm not in the space, but obviously a lot of them are crowdfunded. I don't know, maybe some bigger ones maybe have some type of payment. I have no idea how that works, but I would think that, as a developer or as a decision maker, I would think, people making mods, expansive mods that, players can enjoy, while playing your game is a good thing overall. I don't think it would ever be a bad thing, if that kind of makes sense. So I really hope that, stuff does get changed. Don't get it wrong. But yeah, let's keep reading. Where were we? I got into a huge tangent. Okay, I think this is. Okay, we're right here. As for the massive overuse of internal keyword, we ask that you remove it from every class, method, field, and within reason. If there was ever a doubt in your mind that a particular piece of code might be useful for a modder to use in their own assemblies, it shouldn't be made internal. Okay, so internal keywords is not the wave. Okay. We have a strong opinion that the issue of why can I say that word? Compatibility should be entirely up to the mod developers. If a modder's priority is to make their mod highly compatible, they are able to do so with good coding practices. Using the internal keyword as a way to try and force compatibility is having the opposite effect. Okay, so they try to make it more compatible, but in the way it doesn't work that way because it just didn't work. You know what I mean? So it needs to be redone. And for total conversion mods, it is actively hurting our development. Okay. Lastly, the biggest and easiest step to take would be improving the communication and collaboration between TaleWorlds and the entire community. We have no idea if our request features are in the works or if they are being prioritized at all. A feature roadmap or even a Trello board providing some insight on prioritization would give players and modders the confidence that TaleWorlds is building the game the stakeholders want. Okay. In terms of communication, look, I'm gonna stand on this kind of hill for as long as I need to. Not as long as I need to, but here's the thing. I think they do communicate. I don't know how they communicate between the developers, like mod developers and game developers. I don't know how that communication goes. I'm obviously not in that space. But I think in terms of communication and replying to people and stuff like that nature, they do a good job of that. You know what I mean? Look, I understand that a lot of stuff was said here that obviously needs a lot of changes, but I think the communication is good in terms of before everyone tries to jump on me, in terms of replying to players, replying to threads, replying to conversations. They do a good job of that. But I don't know how their communication goes when it comes to mod developers and teams of mod developers and teams of developers. I think there should be this little communication line. It doesn't have to be public on the forums, but I think you should have conversations with these big teams. And hopefully someone does reach out to, obviously these guys and, hopefully some communication happens because I think it's very, very important. So, yeah. Listen, if it's non-existent, I have no clue if it is or if it's not. And if that's what you say, then okay. And I hope for in the future that there is. That's pretty much where I'm getting at. Okay, now he says, why are these issues important? As mentioned before, it is almost impossible to work on any non-atomic code for our mods, while our artists, seniors, and other team members are able to at least work on some things in the meantime. Pretty much all our mods are at a complete standstill in terms of programming and actually implementing our team's work in the game itself. Until you fix these issues, our progress is severely hamstrung, and the time it will take to get our mod into our fans' hands will be indefinitely pushed back. In the words of Elon Musk, oh god, you lost me, dog. I know everyone loves this guy, but dude, he is kind of not the best kind of dude. I'm just saying, look, hey, I know there's a lot of fanboys, and I get he's done a lot, but he's not the best type of guy as well. I'm not gonna get into that. I just, I'm not gonna get into that. Because I know a lot of people speak very highly of him. That's cool. He's done a lot of good stuff. Cool. But, yeah. But, okay, so what he said. In the words of Elon Musk, too many MBAs are ruining companies. We think it is unlikely that there wasn't pushback from TaleWorlds engineers regarding these design decisions, and we ask that TaleWorlds starts taking their feedback more seriously as well. Many of us have first-hand experience of the dynamic between profit/deadline obsessed executives and the engineers pouring their hearts into the game. Even the most loved developers have fallen to similar hubris. Cough, CD Projekt Red. You hate to see it, don't you? Help us help you make the sequel and leaves Warband in the dust. Sincerely and respectfully, all the teams. There it is, man. Hey, like I said before, I like this. You know what I mean? I like this. Whenever there's a problem, whenever there's an issue that needs to be taken, I think this is the right way to go about it. I think this is exactly what needs to be done. I think the problem needs to be stated. I think it needs to be shown, and I think it needs to be respectful and mature, and also give an idea on how this can be changed, how this can be made better. I think this is the right way to go along with it. I'm going to check out this thread in a little bit and see what kind of dev replies we have. I can already tell it's going to be trolls and people who are ready to be immature and hateful. You know what I mean? But hopefully this does get changed. And that will do it for me. I am definitely for these mods getting, made, and for the communication to actually be made as well. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.